The uninvited guest, the great assembly hall of the Stellar Federation, buzzed with the familiar sounds of diplomatic routine. Representatives from 67 different worlds sat in their designated sections, their various forms creating a rainbow of alien diversity under the soft lighting of artificial suns. The air recyclers worked overtime to maintain atmospheric conditions suitable for carbon-based, silicon-based, and energy-based life forms alike. Ambassador Crystal adjusted his ceremonial robes and surveyed the gathering with tired eyes. His scaled skin, a deep emerald green that marked him as one of the elder Saurian diplomats, had dulled slightly over his 2 centuries of service to the Federation. Today marked another routine session about mining rights in the Outer Territories, and he could already predict every argument that would be raised. High Counselor Saga, her crystalline form refracting light into beautiful patterns, called the session to order. Her species communicated through harmonic resonance, but the universal translators converted her melodic tones into standard galactic speech. The Federation Council recognizes the representative from Kepler 44 to be guarding territorial disputes in Sector 7. The Aquarian delegate rose from his environmental tank, water cascading from his translucent form. Through the speakers, his gurgling speech became words. Honored Council, the continued expansion of the Zephyrian mining operations violates the Hydro Accords of 2387. Our coral cities require specific mineral compositions in nearby asteroid belts to maintain their ecological balance. Crystal suppressed a sigh. The same complaints, the same careful negotiations, the same compromises. The Federation had maintained peace for over 3 centuries through these endless diplomatic sessions, but sometimes he wondered if anything truly significant would ever happen again. The Great Wars were ancient history. The exploration age had ended when they mapped the final sectors, and even piracy had become a minor bureaucratic issue. A soft chime indicated an incoming priority message on his personal communicator. Glancing at the small device, he expected another routine administrative update. Instead, he saw an urgent alert from Deep Space Monitoring Station Omega-7. The message was brief but alarming. Unknown massive vessel detected entering Federation space. Configuration unfamiliar. Size classification, dreadnought. Request immediate instructions. Crystal's tail twitched involuntarily, a sign of stress among his people. Unknown vessels of that size were virtually impossible. Every species in the galaxy was catalogued, their ship designs well documented. The Federation's monitoring systems were sophisticated enough to identify a vessel's origin from light years away. Yet this message suggested something completely outside their databases. He activated his communicator's priority channel to the monitoring station. Station Omega-7, this is Ambassador Crystal. Confirm vessel specifications and origin identification. The response came immediately, crackling with static that suggested the operator was nervous. Ambassador, the vessel is approximately 4 kilometers in length with an unusual angular design. Hull composition appears to be an unknown metallic alloy. No response to standard identification requests. Most concerning, sir, it appeared without any hyperspace distortion signature. Without hyperspace distortion. That was impossible. Every known faster-than-light drive created detectable spatial anomalies when transitioning between dimensional phases. For a ship to simply appear meant either their sensors were malfunctioning or this vessel used technology beyond current. Understanding before Crystal could respond. Alarms began sounding throughout the assembly hall. Emergency lights bathed the chamber in pulsing red as the Federation's automated defense systems detected the approaching threat. Representatives from dozens of species began chattering in their native languages, creating a cacophony of confusion. High Counselor Vexana's crystalline form flashed bright blue, the equivalent of shouting for her people. All representatives to emergency stations. Unknown vessel approaching the capital system. Defense Protocol 7 is now in effect. The chamber's massive viewing screens activated, showing real-time sensor data from the outer system. The approaching vessel appeared as a dark silhouette against the starfield, its massive bulk dwarfing even the Federation's largest battleships. Angular and aggressive in design, it looked nothing like the curved, organic shapes preferred by most galactic civilizations. Crystal felt his blood temperature drop several degrees as he studied the tactical display. The vessel's weapon signatures were off the charts, showing energy potential that exceeded the combined firepower of the Federation's home fleet. Whoever these visitors were, they possessed technology that made the Federation's military look like children playing with toys. Distance to target. Vexana called out, her harmonic voice tight with controlled fear. 3 million kilometers and closing at sublight speeds, replied the defense coordinator. A multi-armed Centaurian whose tentacles were working frantically at multiple control panels. Estimated arrival at high orbit in 47 minutes. The Zephyrian representative, whose gaseous form shimmered with agitation, raised what passed for a hand. Are they responding to diplomatic channels? Negative contact on any frequency, came the reply. The vessel maintains complete communication silence. 47 minutes. Crystal realized there was barely enough time to evacuate the most essential personnel, assuming this unknown species had hostile intentions. The Federation's military doctrine was based on overwhelming numbers and superior tactics, not individual ship superiority. Their largest dreadnought was less than half the size of this approaching monster. Then, as if responding to their fears, the communication systems crackled to life. A new voice filled the chamber, speaking perfect Federation standard with an accent none of them had ever heard before. Attention, Stellar Federation Council. This is Captain Alina Rodriguez of the Terran Defense Force vessel Prometheus. I request immediate permission to address your assembly on a matter of galactic security. I repeat, this is a diplomatic mission regarding an imminent threat to all civilized worlds. The chamber fell silent, except for the soft hum of life support systems. Every representative stared at the communication console as if it might explode. In 3 centuries of Federation history, unknown species had ever announced themselves with such authority and technological superiority. Crystal found his voice first, though it cracked slightly with stress. Unknown vessel Prometheus, this is Ambassador Crystal of the Federation Council. You have entered our space without authorization and refuse standard identification protocols. State your intentions and submit to security inspection. Captain Rodriguez's response came without hesitation, her voice carrying a tone of polite but absolute authority. Ambassador Crystal, I appreciate your position, but I must respectfully decline inspection of our vessel. The technology aboard the Prometheus contains classified systems that our government requires us to protect. However, I am prepared to beam down personally to address your council immediately. Beam down personally. The casual confidence in that statement sent new waves of concern through the chamber. This Captain Rodriguez was refusing direct orders from the Federation's highest authority while offering to place herself in their custody. Either she was supremely confident in her diplomatic immunity, or she knew something they didn't about the balance of power. Asterisk. The crystalline delegate from Sector 12 raised a gleaming appendage. Captain Rodriguez, what species do you represent? Our databases contain no record of Terrans or your vessel configuration. That, honored delegate, is precisely why I need to address your council. My species has been observing galactic civilization for the past 50 years, and the time has come for formal contact. However, I bring urgent news that cannot wait for standard diplomatic procedures. 50 years of observation. The implications staggered Crystal. If this was true, then humanity had achieved interstellar travel and advanced stealth technology while remaining completely hidden from Federation sensors. The level of sophistication required for such a feat exceeded anything in their understanding. High Counselor, Vexana S-form, pulsed with rapid color changes, indicating intense deliberation. Captain Rodriguez, you ask us to accept your word while demonstrating technology that could threaten our entire civilization. Why should we trust you? The human's response carried a note of grim urgency. Because, High Counselor, my people have detected something that your most advanced sensors have missed. An ancient threat is returning to this galaxy, something that will destroy every world you've sworn to protect. The Federation has perhaps 6 months before the first attacks begin. We can help you prepare, but only if you're willing to listen. Asterisk. Ancient threat. The words resonated through the chamber like a death knell. Every species in the Federation had legends about the old times. Before the Great Peace, when mysterious forces had swept through known space, leaving dead worlds in their wake. Most dismissed these as mythology, but some scholars believed they contained fragments of historical truth. The defense coordinator's voice cut through the stunned silence. Captain, our sensors show your vessel taking position in high orbit. Are we to interpret this as a hostile act? My ship is positioning for optimal communication and, if necessary, defense of your world. Ambassador Crixtel. The threat I'm here to warn you about specifically targets highly developed civilizations. Your capital world would be among their first objectives. The Prometheus is here to ensure that doesn't happen. Defense of your world. Captain Rodriguez was claiming that her single vessel could protect the Federation's most heavily fortified planet. The audacity of the statement would have been laughable if not for the massive ship now visible in their orbit. Its weapon arrays capable of reducing cities to vapor. Crixtal made a decision that would change galactic history. Captain Rodriguez, the Council grants you permission to transport to our chambers. However, you will submit to security screening and limit your escort to 2 personnel. Understood, Ambassador. Transporting now. 3 columns of brilliant light materialized in the center of the chamber, resolving into 3 human figures. Captain Alina Rodriguez was a tall, dark-haired woman with intense brown eyes that seemed to catalog every detail of her surroundings. Her uniform was crisp and military, bearing insignia that conveyed authority even to alien eyes. The 2 figures flanking her were obviously soldiers, alert and professional despite being surrounded by dozens of potential threats. What struck Crixtal most about these humans was their absolute calm. They showed no signs of being overwhelmed by alien diversity or intimidated by their circumstances. If anything, Captain Rodriguez looked like a scientist studying interesting specimens. Honored representatives, she began, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber's acoustics. I am Captain Alina Rodriguez, representing the Terran Defense Force and speaking for the United Earth Coalition. We have been preparing for this moment for decades. And I wish our first contact could be under better circumstances. The Aquarian representative gurgled a question through his translator. Captain Rodriguez, you claim to have observed us for 50 years. What exactly have you learned about the Federation? Alina activated a small device on her wrist, projecting a holographic display that showed incredible detail about Federation territory, trade routes, and even classified military installations. The accuracy was breathtaking and terrifying. We know that the Stellar Federation represents the most successful, peaceful alliance in galactic history. 67 species working together, maintaining order across nearly 1,000 star systems. It's remarkable. And yet you remained hidden, Vexana observed, her crystalline form flickering with suspicion. Why reveal yourselves now? Elena's expression grew grave. Because sensors aboard our deep space monitoring stations have detected something that will end all of this. The signals are faint, still years away, but the pattern is unmistakable. The Harvester Protocol has been activated. The name meant nothing to most representatives. But Crystal saw several of the older delegates' faces change. The Harvester Protocol appeared in the most ancient texts, described as an automated system designed to eliminate advanced civilizations when they reached certain development thresholds. Captain Crystal said carefully, "You're referring to legends, historical mythology. I'm referring to an artificial intelligence network created by a species that destroyed itself 3 million years ago. Before their civilization collapsed, they seeded the galaxy with automated systems designed to prevent any other species from making their mistakes. Those systems have been dormant, but recent quantum communications between advanced worlds have triggered their activation. Protocols." Alina manipulated her holographic display, showing star charts with projected attack vectors. The Harvesters will begin with surgical strikes against the most technologically advanced worlds, then systematically eliminate all traces of advanced civilization. Based on their historical patterns, they'll start with the Federation capital and work outward. The chamber erupted in confused voices as representatives demanded explanations, verification, proof. Alina waited calmly for the chaos to subside before continuing. The Terran Defense Force has spent 50 years preparing for this threat. We've developed countermeasures, defensive technologies, and tactical doctrines specifically designed to fight automated systems. We can help you survive what's coming, but only if we work together. Crystal studied the human captain's face, searching for signs of deception. What he saw was absolute conviction and barely controlled urgency. Either Alina Rodriguez was the most convincing liar in galactic history, or humanity had just offered the Federation its only hope of survival. The massive ship orbiting above them was no longer just a threat. It was a promise that somewhere in the vast darkness of space, someone was finally ready to fight back against the ancient terror that had haunted civilized worlds for millions of years. Asterisk, the ultimate gambit. Emergency session continued through 3 planetary rotations as Alina presented evidence that chilled the Federation Council to their cores. Her holographic displays showed deep space sensor readings that their own monitoring stations had, dismissed as background radiation. When analyzed through human mathematical models, the patterns revealed a coordinated network awakening across multiple galactic sectors. The initial activation began 18 months ago, Alina explained, manipulating the star chart to highlight specific systems. Quantum resonance between your most advanced communication networks triggered dormant relay stations in dead systems. Each activation adds to their processing power and expands their operational radius. High Counselor Vexana's crystalline form had dimmed to barely visible luminescence, her species equivalent of pale terror. Captain Rodriguez, assuming your data is accurate, what timeline are we facing? Elena's expression grew darker. Conservative estimates give us 6 months before the first harvester fleets reach Federation space. They'll target the most technologically advanced worlds first, then systematically eliminate all traces of advanced civilization sector by sector. The Zephyrian representative, whose gaseous form shimmered with agitation, raised what passed for a hand. What makes you so certain they can be defeated? If these machines have existed for 3 million years, what makes human technology superior? Elena activated another display, this one showing technical specifications that made several representatives gasp. Because we've been preparing specifically for this threat. While your species developed in peace, humans evolved through constant warfare. Our entire technological development was driven by the need to fight enemies who outnumbered and outgunned us. When we discovered evidence of the Harvester Network 50 years ago, we dedicated our entire civilization to preparing for their return. The tactical displays showed human ship designs unlike anything in Federation databases, where galactic vessels emphasized comfort, efficiency, and multi-purpose functionality. Human ships were built for one purpose: war. Redundant systems, heavy armor, massive weapon arrays, and most importantly, adaptive artificial intelligence that could learn and counter enemy tactics in real time. Crystal studied the projections carefully. Captain, your fleet specifications indicate significant numerical disadvantage. The Federation maintains over 12,000 combat vessels. Your readouts suggest humanity possesses fewer than 3,000 ships. Quality over quantity, Ambassador. 1 human dreadnought equals approximately 15 Federation battleships in combat effectiveness. More importantly, our tactical doctrine is specifically designed to counter automated systems. We've spent decades studying Harvester attack patterns and developing countermeasures. The crystalline delegate from Sector 12 pulsed with skeptical colors. Even if we accept your claims, why should we trust a species that remained hidden while observing us? Your secretive approach suggests hostile intentions. Elena's 2 escorts remained perfectly still, but Crystal noticed their eyes constantly scanning the chamber for potential threats. These were soldiers who expected violence at any moment, yet showed no signs of initiating it themselves. Professional warriors under absolute discipline. We remained hidden because first, contact needed to happen at the right moment, Elena replied. If we had revealed ourselves decades ago, the Federation would have demanded access to our technology, integration into your systems, sharing of scientific advances. That integration would have accelerated the quantum resonance patterns and triggered the harvesters years earlier. We needed time to prepare adequate defenses. The logic was sound but unsettling. Humanity had manipulated the timeline of first contact to serve their strategic objectives, demonstrating planning capabilities that spanned generations. Either they were the galaxy's saviors or its most dangerous enemies. High Counselor Vexana's form brightened slightly as she processed the implications. Captain Rodriguez, what exactly are you proposing? Elena straightened, her military bearing becoming more pronounced. Full alliance between the Terran Defense Force and the Stellar Federation. We share our anti-harvester technology, tactical doctrine, and defensive installations. In return, the Federation provides industrial capacity, resource networks, and personnel to expand our combined fleets before the attacks begin. The chamber erupted in debate as representatives argued in dozens of languages. The Aquarian delegate's translation came through clearly above the chaos. You ask us to militarize our entire civilization based on the word of a species we met 3 days ago. I'm asking you to survive, Alina replied, her voice cutting through the noise. The harvesters don't negotiate. They don't take prisoners. They don't distinguish between military and civilian targets. They identify advanced civilizations and eliminate them completely. The only choice is to fight or die. Crystal activated his authority as session chairman, bringing order to the chamber. Captain, assuming the council agrees to this alliance, what would our combined forces face? Elena's holographic display shifted to show projections of harvester fleet compositions. The numbers were terrifying. Thousands of automated warships, each one larger than a Federation dreadnought, supported by millions of smaller hunter-killers and planetary bombardment units. Manufacturing ships that could consume asteroid belts and convert raw materials into new combat units within days. The first wave will consist of approximately 8,000 capital ships supported by 50,000 support vessels. Alina continued. If they successfully eliminate the Federation's core worlds, their manufacturing capacity will double within 6 months. By the end of the first year, they'll field over 100,000 vessels. The mathematical progression was clear. Any resistance needed to succeed completely in the first engagement. There would be no second chances, no retreat and regroup, no gradual build-up of forces. Victory or extinction. The Saurian military advisor, General Korthak, leaned forward in his seat. Captain Rodriguez, what tactical advantages do you believe we possess? Alina smiled for the first time since arriving, and the expression was predatory. The harvesters are 3 million years old, but their programming was designed to counter civilizations like the ones that created them. They expect organic beings to follow predictable patterns, preserve civilian populations, maintain communication networks, defend fixed installations, prioritize survival over victory. Humans don't follow those patterns. She manipulated the display to show battle simulations that made several pacifist delegates look ill. Human tactics emphasized overwhelming firepower concentrated at single points. The deliberate sacrifice of less critical assets to achieve strategic objectives, and the systematic destruction of infrastructure to deny resources to enemies. More importantly, Harvester artificial intelligence operates on quantum processing networks. Disrupt those networks, and their coordination collapses. Human ships carry quantum scramblers specifically, designed to create interference in their command structures. The technology demonstrations continued for hours as Alina revealed the true scope of human military preparation. Weapons that could crack planets, shields that could withstand stellar bombardment, faster-than-light drives that left no detectable signature. Humanity had built a war machine specifically designed to fight an enemy no one else believed existed. Finally, High Counselor Vexana called for executive session. Captain Rodriguez, please withdraw while the council deliberates. Alina and her escorts transported back to their ship, leaving the representatives to debate in private. The arguments were passionate but brief. Every military analyst confirmed that the Federation's current forces stood no chance against the projected harvester fleets. Alliance with humanity offered their only hope of survival. When Alina returned, Crystal delivered the verdict. Captain, the Stellar Federation accepts full alliance with the Terran Defense Force. We place our fleets under joint command and commit all necessary resources to planetary defense. Alina nodded gravely. The Prometheus will begin immediate coordination with your military commanders. We have construction facilities hidden in deep space that can upgrade your existing fleets with human defensive technology. The work begins immediately. Over the following months, the galaxy transformed. Peaceful Federation worlds became massive military-industrial complexes as human technology revolutionized their manufacturing capabilities. Trade routes became supply lines, feeding enormous shipyards that produced vessels designed for one purpose: killing machines. The cultural shock was tremendous. Species that hadn't seen warfare in centuries suddenly found themselves drilling for planetary evacuation and learning to operate weapon systems. Human military advisors, grim professionals who spoke of death with clinical detachment, trained alien commanders in tactics that emphasized acceptable losses and strategic sacrifice. But the technology sharing revealed the true genius of human preparation. Every defensive system had been specifically designed to counter known harvester capabilities. Quantum scramblers that disrupted their artificial intelligence networks, armor composites that absorbed their energy weapons, tactical doctrines that turned their automated responses into predictable weaknesses. When the first harvester scouts arrived at the edge of Federation space, they found something unprecedented in their 3 million years of operation, a civilization that was ready to fight back. The Battle of Kepler Prime lasted 17 hours and became legendary across the galaxy. Combined Federation human fleets met the Harvester vanguard in deep space, using human tactics and Federation numbers to achieve complete victory. For the first time in galactic history, automated extermination machines were not just defeated, but destroyed so thoroughly that their quantum networks couldn't adapt to the new threat. Alina, now promoted to Admiral of the Combined Fleet, stood on the bridge of her flagship watching the wreckage of harvester ships drift among the stars. Beside her, Ambassador Crixtal studied the tactical displays with amazement. "Admiral Rodriguez, how did you know it would work?" he asked. Alina smiled, the same predatory expression she had worn months earlier in the council chamber. "Because humans don't just fight to win, Ambassador. We fight to make sure our enemies can never threaten us again." The harvesters were programmed to eliminate civilizations that became too advanced. They never encountered a species that became too dangerous. The galaxy entered a new age that day. The Stellar Federation and the Terran Defense Force merged into something stronger than either had been alone. Peaceful cooperation guided by human tactical thinking and alien wisdom created an alliance that would endure for millennia. And in the deep space monitoring stations that watched for ancient threats, human and alien operators worked together, ready to face whatever dangers the universe might hold. The age of hiding was over. Humanity had announced itself to the galaxy not as conquerors, but as the defenders that civilized worlds had always needed. The harvester threat was ended, but the alliance it forged became the foundation for a new galactic civilization, one where peace was maintained not through endless negotiation, but through the absolute certainty that any force threatening innocent worlds would face the combined might of species that had learned to fight as one. In the end, humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy wasn't their technology or their tactics. It was the knowledge that sometimes peace could only be preserved by those willing to fight for it without compromise. The stars themselves seemed brighter with that knowledge burning in the darkness.